Chapter 8 The Weekend. Ben handed over the keys to the coupe to the valet service. Someone was already grabbing the bags out of the trunk and putting them on one of those trolley things the hotel had. "They have very good service here," murmured Kitty as Ben opened the door for her. "I hope it's not too pricey for you, Ben. We don't have to stay the whole weekend if it's a problem."
"Family discount."
Ben shrugged. It wasn't entirely a lie.
"My brothers and sisters are in the family hotel business. It'll be fine. Like I said, don't worry about charging anything to the room. It's all taken care of."
Kitty looked at him a little doubtfully, but let it slide. "Okay." Ben led Kitty through the foyer, a hand at her back. It was the main hotel, one which was upgraded from business class to sheer opulence. His sister Addison had outdone herself on the decor, making it the envy of any fashion hotelier's magazine cover. Gold trim, cream wallpaper, and navy touches made the room feel luxurious. "Oh, wow," breathed Kitty as she looked around the hotel. Unconsciously, she stepped closer to him, and Ben wondered if she might be intimidated by the ambience. She looked at him with concern. "Are you sure? It looks so expensive." It was expensive. Ben fully expected it to be a 10 grand minimum weekend per couple, adding in meals plus gratuities. He was also paying for child-minding services as needed for the family. However, he didn't do it often, and he could well afford it.
"It's fine." "Ben!"
A joyous voice carried over the length of the foyer. Ben turned to see his cousin Max with his wife Piaget and their 2 children.
"Good to see you."
"You too," greeted Ben as he stretched out a hand.
"This is Kitty. Kitty, this is my cousin Max, his wife Piaget, and their 2 boys, Morgan and Ryder."
"Pleased to meet you," murmured Kitty as the group exchanged handshakes.
"Has anyone else arrived yet?"
asked Ben curiously.
Max nodded. "Michael and Anne went to find their rooms a moment ago. Elle and Noah sent me a text saying they brought their boys to the pool. We were thinking of joining them once we finish getting registered."
"Did you hear that? They have a pool," a very pregnant Kelly told her group of kids as she and Dylan approached. "I told you they would." "That's awesome. Can we go in the pool now?" asked an eager Avery.
"Wait until after we register and find your luggage. You do need your swimsuits," responded Dylan dryly. "Ben, Max, Piaget, good to see you." "This is Kitty," introduced Ben.
"Nice to meet you." Kitty smiled and shook Kelly's proffered hand. "How far along are you?" Kelly had a laugh. "Overdue." "Are you sure you're okay to be here?" wondered a surprised Piaget. "I'm fine." Kelly waved away their concern. Dylan had a beleaguered smile.
"At the first sign of any issue, we are headed to the hospital, so don't be surprised if we bail at some point this weekend."
"The doctor said I could come," protested Kelly.
"After you badgered him into it,"
murmured Dylan. He wrapped an arm around her shoulders to soften the statement. Kelly huffed a little. "I wanted to come. I had hoped to have a brand new baby to present to all of you today, but little Jackson isn't ready to make an appearance."
"Jackson?" asked Max. "Are you sure you don't want his name to start with an M? After all, I did help the 2 of you to get together."
"Stop it." Piaget rolled her eyes. "You're not a matchmaker." Kelly laughed. "If that were the case, the name should start with T or B for my friends who kidnapped Dylan for me." "Kidnapped Dylan?" asked a surprised Kitty.
"They took me camping," explained Dylan. "It was a little rocky at first. I was put in the trunk of a car. By the end of the weekend, we were all friends."
"Stockholm Syndrome," laughed Kelly. Noticing the front desk was free, Ben motioned to it for Max.
"Do you want to go first?" "Oh, no," grinned Max. "I'm looking forward to getting to know Kitty better. Is she your girlfriend?" "We are friends," explained Ben patiently. "Be nice, Max." "Always," replied Max. "When am I not nice?"
"Max," warned Piaget, "don't hound the poor girl. Come on, Ben, let's get registered before someone else comes along."
"Are you going to be okay while I get the registration done?" Ben asked Kitty.
"She will be fine." Kelly hooked an arm through Kitty's. "We will have a nice chat while Dylan and Max catch up." Taking that to mean Kitty was in good hands, Ben went with Piaget to the front desk. She seems nice, casually mentioned Paget to Ben. How long have the two of you been friends?
6 or 7 years, shrugged Ben. He decided to change the subject before any tricky questions came up. Are you and Max still deciding on a gaming system for the boys?
Don't remind me, sighed Paget as she handed over a card to the front desk person. They have too much screen time as it is. We thought it might be a good way for them to connect with their cousins, yet I'm worried about them having access to the internet. There are too many weirdos out there.
I could put in some extra firewalls so they can only connect with who you want them to, offered Ben.
You can do that? Questioned an interested Paget.
Sure. I already did it for Nick and Oliver. It wouldn't be too hard to replicate the program in any gaming device you choose to buy.
Ben handed over his information to another desk person, giving them a quick greeting. That would be great, responded Paget. It would give me a lot of peace of mind if I could make sure they're only interacting with their cousins and friends on the internet.
Once you get a system, let me know and I can set it up, replied Ben as he handed over his credit card.
There you are, Mrs. Ramsley. The front desk clerk smiled and handed Paget her invoice and room keys. This can't be right, frowned Paget as she scanned the paperwork. It says there's no balance on the invoice. Your stay is being charged to another guest. It was pre-approved with a down payment, she explained. All incidentals, your room, and any deposits for damages are being charged to the account. There's no charge to you for your stay or the other guests of the Ramsley party.
Mr. Ramsley, your invoice,
offered the second desk clerk, handing over an invoice and returning Ben's card. Was yours paid too? A nosy Paget managed to snag the edge of Ben's invoice, turning it so she could see. She gasped at the numbers on the invoice. You're paying for this, Ben? Ben flushed a little. He gently tugged the receipt out of her hand, putting it and his credit card away in his wallet.
Don't tell everyone. I had a good year, and I thought it might be nice to cover for everyone for the weekend. I know that with the investigation going on and the frozen accounts, some of the family would have had a hard time paying for an event like this. I didn't want anyone to feel like they couldn't come. It's my present to the family.
When Ben had phoned Gabe to float the idea of paying for the accommodations past him, he had found out that Gabe wasn't getting married this weekend after all. Jake and Sterling would be taking Gabe's place. Ben had also called Sterling's family to ensure that they knew they were welcome to a free stay at the hotel this weekend to watch their daughter and Jake get married. It wasn't an imposition to him to cover them, to ensure Jake and Sterling had a happy day. Ben had even extended the invitation a little further, to cover the Colburns, as the Ramsleys had lately been inviting the brothers more and more into the family functions. That is so sweet. Paget reached up to give Ben a hug. Thank you. I know that Max and I really appreciate it. Ben gave her an awkward pat on the back.
You're welcome. Just keep it quiet if you can.
You know Max, Paget warned Ben as she released him. Once he knows something, everyone knows it.
Yeah, sighed Ben. I suppose so. Ben, Paget, greeted Jake as he and Sterling approached. Good to see you again.
They shook hands. Paget gave Sterling a hug. I'm so glad you both decided to come. We are too, smiled Sterling. Jake had a tight smile.
Excuse me while I register us.
Finances are a little tough lately, sighed Sterling. We weren't planning on coming, but there's been a small change in plans. I think you'll be surprised on the price, Paget smiled. Ben paid for all the guests.
Paget,
mumbled Ben as he felt his face flush. What? Max would tell them anyways, innocently said Paget. Ben decided not to point out that she was the one telling everyone, not her husband.
I won't pretend it's not a relief to have it covered. Thank you, Ben.
A grateful Jake extended his hand again for a handshake. Ben shrugged.
It's a gift to everyone. No thanks necessary.
We appreciate it, offered Sterling. In fact, it can be your wedding gift to us. Your wedding gift? Questioned Paget.
Gabe and Brittany won't be getting married tomorrow, Jake informed them. Gabe has instead offered his place at the altar to us.
It was very generous of him, added Sterling. Jake and I have been trying to tie the knot for a little over a month now, but something always seems to come up.
Do you mean the Brittany who stalked Gabe for years? Wondered a concerned Ben. He always complained about her. Gabe never said it was her he was supposed to be marrying. I guess they've reached an agreement of some sort, shrugged Jake.
More like Gabe had reached an impasse with his father, muttered Paget. At Ben's confused look, she explained. Gabe's father insisted that each of his sons get married within a month, or he'd cut them off. No jobs, no condos, nothing. They have to provide Dottie with grandchildren within the year, and remain married for a minimum of 5 years. It's rather draconian. However, Max told me that Parker said it was legal, and they have to do it, or they're out of the family business.
Wow,
a surprise Ben managed.
No wonder the short notice on the wedding. Does anyone know who Parker and Marshall are marrying? Overseas bride for Parker, confided Jake. Apparently no one knows who Marshall is marrying, but he seems confident and happy about it.
I suppose that's good, replied Paget. I must admit, I have my doubts whether this is a good idea or not. Forcing someone to get married so quickly? There's bound to be regrets.
I feel for Gabe, mentioned Jake. He was raised to take Uncle James's place. It's his life mission. I don't know what he's going to do. I'm going to be fine.
A grim Gabe approached the desk.
Thanks for the concern.
The group had the grace to look a little embarrassed at the interruption.
I just meant we hope things are going to be okay for you. It's a big change you're facing, offered Jake. As I said, I will be fine, repeated Gabe. It's good to see you all.
Thank you for thinking of us to fill in, inserted Sterling. We really appreciate it.
Gabe gave them a brief nod. You're welcome.
An uncomfortable silence descended, and Ben was grateful when Kitty came up beside him. He made the introductions. Kitty hooked her arm through his. Kelly has invited me to meet the other ladies this evening after dinner. She seems very nice.
She is, agreed Ben.
He was pleased with Dylan's choice of second wife. It seemed the couple were getting on really well, and Dylan was a happier man for the experience.
Shall we go up and see the rooms before dinner?
Sounds like a plan, grinned Kitty. It was good to meet you all.
Same, agreed Paget.
They split off from the group. Ben led Kitty through the familiar hotel. He had spent countless hours here and at other Ramsley hotels as a child. Most of the chain were laid out the same, and had similar features. This particular hotel was one of the more opulent ones, with an indoor courtyard, finest of fine dining with 2 restaurants, a pool, hot tubs not only on the pool but also on the roof of the building, and lush decor. As part of the wedding party, Ben had reserved a set of rooms with an adjoining living space between them. He had wanted to make it easy for Kitty to find him, should she need him. Ben had also made certain the living space had a small kitchenette, should they want to have coffee or any other amenities. He unlocked Kitty's door first, giving her the keycard. "Wow," breathed Kitty when she saw her suite. "It's beautiful. I don't think there's a nicer hotel in all the city."
"Lincoln Waters might disagree," mentioned Ben. "He's the Ramsley Hotel's main competitor."
"Well, I think this is the nicest," reiterated Kitty as she explored. "They put my clothes away." Sure enough, Kitty's dresses were hung in the closet. Her other items had been carefully put away.
"It comes with the service," replied Ben. "I forgot to ask if you wanted the staff to, or if you wanted to put your own clothes away yourself. Some people find it a little creepy."
"I'm just surprised," shrugged an unconcerned Kitty. It wasn't like she had anything super expensive with her for the trip. Her jewelry case was left on the side table for her, and everything appeared to be there. She moved along to the bathroom. "There is a soaker tub. Look at the shower. It's like a spa in here." Ben slowly followed her. It looked like any upscale bathroom to him.
"You'll have to tell my sister Addison if you like it. She decorates and upgrades the hotel designs."
"I've never seen a hotel bathroom with a bathtub and a separate glass shower," murmured Kitty. "It's one of those rain shower type faucets. Ben, just how much is this costing? Are you sure I don't need to pay you something?"
"I already told you it's all paid for," repeated Ben.
He wasn't worried about Kitty paying him. She had yet to make an installment on the restaurant bill Tristan had left her with, and Ben wasn't expecting anything. He knew she lived paycheck to paycheck. "Can we go see your room?" asked Kitty.
"Sure."
Ben led her to the connecting door, opening it into the living area. "What is this?" Kitty said in awe as she surveyed the couch set, television, and kitchenette area. A connecting room. It's like an apartment almost in here.
Just a nice, comfortable space, shrugged Ben. My room is almost a mirror of yours. It's right here.
He opened the adjoining door to show her his room. The difference was that he had access to a balcony and a king-size bed. Otherwise, the room looked much the same as Kitty's. Kitty trailed a hand over the dresser as she looked everything over. This is like some kind of fairy tale. I've never stayed someplace this nice.
The penthouse suites are nicer yet, replied Ben. However, only the grooms and brides are getting those.
A balcony? Kitty moved to the patio doors. The balcony overlooked a courtyard. They have a courtyard with plants and a fountain?
Breakfast on the balcony is one of the selling points of the hotel during the more seasonal times of the year, noted Ben. So are the rest of the amenities.
It's a really nice place. Is it going to be formal tonight for dinner? Asked Kitty.
I would guess so. I expect everyone will be there tonight, replied Ben.
Are your parents going to be at the dinner? Wondered Kitty, turning to look at him with interest.
Mom will be there.
Ben cleared his throat. He hesitated a moment but decided to continue.
Kitty, you might hear some talk over the weekend. My dad and uncles were involved in something I'm not proud of.
As Ben struggled to find the right words to explain, Kitty came forward, laying a hand on his arm. It's okay, Ben. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to.
I just don't want you to be surprised if it does come up in conversation, explained Ben on a sigh.
He decided to tell it plainly.
My dad was involved in laundering money for an illegal drug operation run by my Uncle David. He is currently in prison. All the family businesses were involved in laundering the money. The FBI is running an investigation. Most of my family have their business and personal accounts frozen pending the investigation. I don't believe any of my siblings or my cousins were involved. They seem just as surprised by everything that has been happening as I am. It's a bit of a mess right now with the family.
Are you okay? Asked a concerned Kitty.
I wasn't involved, and the FBI isn't investigating me, revealed Ben. I only do a few side gigs with the hotel security and technology for the family. I don't actually work for Ramsley Hotels.
Ben, softly corrected Kitty, laying a hand on his cheek. I asked if you were okay. It has to be tough with your dad in prison and all this going on.
I guess so, shrugged Ben. I worry about my family and how this is going for them. Since I'm not a direct member of family hotels, I don't have all the information they have, so I don't really know how serious the situation is. Plus, I feel bad about Dad. If he really did this, then he needs to make restitution, whether that is in prison or a monetary fine or both. I just feel sorry for him. He's a weak man. He isn't malicious or criminally minded. I'm guessing Uncle David talked him into it and Dad went along with it since it would be extra money. He probably only knows half of what was going on.
Kitty hugged him. Maybe you can get a chance to talk to your brothers and sister this weekend to find out more about how they're dealing with the situation and ask if you can help in any way. Everyone's here now, so it's a good opportunity to discuss it.
I suppose I should, sighed Ben as he hugged Kitty back. I was just hoping it would be a happy weekend for my family.
It is. Kitty pulled back to look up at him. They're celebrating a wedding, and so are we. We should get dressed for dinner.
You're right, decided Ben. Thanks, Kitty.
Kitty gave him a smile and returned to her room, leaving the door open after her. Ben went to the built-in wardrobe to pull out his suit. It didn't take him very long to get ready for the evening. He took a last look at his reflection and decided it would do. He waited in the living room area for Kitty, flicking through the channels on the television. One thing he liked about Kitty was that she was never much longer than he was when getting ready for any sort of event. About 15 minutes later, a poised and pretty Kitty entered the room. "Will I do?" she asked with a grin.
"You look beautiful,"
truthfully replied Ben. He shut off the television and offered his arm.
"Ready to meet the family?"
"Absolutely," smiled Kitty, holding onto his arm. Ben took a steady breath and escorted her out of the room. For some reason, it felt like far more of a big deal than it was. They were just friends, he reminded himself. Thank you for listening to this chapter of The Wedding. You can find the next chapter on YouTube. You can also find more about myself and my books on my website at www.josephinebaitema.com.